Thank you. For the record, Darryl Perry, CEO of Lobby LLC, and I'm going to attempt to answer some of the several questions that have been brought up. I believe it was Representative Silver had asked the question about algorithms not necessarily working correctly the first time. And the bill specifies that on page 2, line 2, a redistricting plan generated by the algorithm shall be forwarded to the speaker, etc. It doesn't say the first redistricting plan. It doesn't say only one redistricting plan. So in theory, they could run the program 15 times. Here are 15 options. You get to choose which one you want, and that would still, a redistricting plan has been forwarded, but there would be multiple options. Questions about could the algorithm be manipulated, and it could be, and it would wind up violating section 3 of what would be new RSA 662-B:2 that specifies in establishing the districts, no use shall be made of the following data: address of the incumbent, political affiliation of voters, previous election results, or demographic information other than population counts except as required by the Constitution and laws of the United States. Now to answer, and unfortunately Representative Souza, who has brought this up, is not in the room. There have been court rulings specifically applying to other states that say that you need to have a majority-minority district. Generally that applies to southern states. So Alabama, there's a very gerrymandered district that is majority black. And that's to make sure that there's at least some minority representation in Congress from the state of Alabama. So I think that's what this is referencing, but I would have to ask the sponsor to clarify if I'm understanding his intentions correctly. There was also a question, I believe, from Representative Gay about do softwares exist on this. There are actually several, and I sent you guys all, and gals, all an email early this morning, probably 12:30, with a link to bdistricting.com, where the maps that I passed out came from there, where the guy actually provides links to other sources that have attempted to redraw some districts.
For purposes of the record, that site and link is listed on the first page of the handout given on behalf of Open Democracy.
And there are other things other than what he does, one of them being something called split line redistricting, which is not something that I would recommend New Hampshire do, just because New Hampshire requires that the towns and wards be all contained, and split line will just go through the middle of towns without regard for that. But it is something that exists. And one of the previous speakers mentioned something about free open source software, and there's actually a difference between freeware and open source software and free open source software. The maps that I provided came from a site where the guy does have his code available that could be reviewed, and there was a question about who can review that. Lines 30 and 31 on page 1, as well as line 1 on page 2, specify the computer algorithm shall be reviewed by representatives of all parties as defined in RSA 652:11, which currently would be Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians. Also, other interested individuals, meaning that anybody could wind up saying, I want to see this code. And they could then make sure that the algorithms being used are fair and do not include the addresses of incumbents, the political affiliation of voters, the previous election results, or other demographic information except as required. And I think that we need something like this tremendously, because I'm not going to say that the current system allows representatives to choose their voters, but it makes no sense to me that we have one state house district with 11 representatives covering multiple wards, and then other places where there's one state rep, no flotorial district, and the state rep represents 3,200 people. So why do we have one state rep, or actually a group of 11 state reps, representing 38,000 people roughly, and other state reps representing 3,200? So we need something like this to ensure that there are more smaller districts. If that means creating more wards in cities and towns, I think that would be a good thing as well, and I'll attempt to answer any questions from the committee.
Questions from committee members for Mr. Perry? I'm seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Perry.